Hi guys, Mark here for KetoKitchenCollection.com, and today's video is the top 5 keto diet tricks for guaranteeing that you lose weight. Let's dive right in. So, number 1, exercise first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. So, why is this beneficial? Because you haven't got any energy reserves in your system. You haven't got, well, obviously if you're on a keto diet, you don't have carbohydrates in your system, but you've been fasting overnight. You've been fasting for 8 hours, maybe more. If you then exercise first thing in the morning, and typically what I'm talking about is cardio, not weight training. So if you do cardio first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, you're going to have to tap into your fat reserves. It's the only place you really have any considerable amount of energy to push you through that exercise. Okay, so that's going to help you lose weight more quickly. And I understand that some of you are going to go, well, hey Mark, isn't that going to be catabolic, or isn't that going to be not so great for maintaining muscle? Won't it want to tear down some muscle to assist with that energy requirement? In some cases, yes. Some people will find that a bit more than others, but at the end of the day, if you're on a keto diet, you've got some weight to lose. Maybe there's a health concern. Maybe you're just miserable with the amount of weight you've got. Now, maintaining muscle is a priority when you're losing weight, because muscle is a big driver of metabolism. But if you feel like crap because of your weight, if you've got a health concern because of your weight, maintaining muscle is not the priority. Losing the weight is the muscle. So if exercising first thing on an empty stomach is something that will benefit you, then do it. Okay, guys, do it, do it, do it. So let's move on to point number 2, which is high-intensity interval training. Trick number 2, high-intensity interval training. So what is it, if you're not familiar with it? High intensity means that you're going as hard as you can, and the interval training, or the interval section of it, means that you're doing it in succession, in intervals. So for example, let's say that you're either walking, jogging, or running. Just as an example, it can be swimming, cycling, on a rowing machine, it can be all kinds of things, but it's typically cardio related, but you're going as hard as you can for short periods of time. An example, let's say that the most that you can possibly do is jogging. You go for 30 seconds, you warm up first, of course. You go for 30 seconds going as hard as you can. So whether that's a brisk walk, a jog, or a full-on run, a sprint, go for 30 seconds as hard as you can. And it doesn't matter if you can't run, guys. Don't worry about that. Just go as hard as you can for 30 seconds, and then take 60 seconds just to walk. Just walk it out, have a recovery. When that 60 seconds is up, just keep an eye on your watch or on your phone for the timing. Go for 30 seconds again, as hard as you can, whether it's, again, a brisk walk, a jog, or a sprint. Maybe you started sprinting and you're jogging by the end of it, perhaps. And then you have 60 seconds where you just walk and you just catch your breath again. And then you go again. You might do that 5, 10, 15 times in succession. That is high-intensity interval training. Why is this beneficial? Because what it's shown to do in studies is to elevate your metabolism beyond what it would normally be throughout the remainder of the day. So let's say that you don't do high-intensity interval training and your metabolism sits there. This is an example, a visual example. If you do the high-intensity interval training, then your baseline metabolism for the rest of the day may jack up to here. Now, I don't know what value that has, but you can understand what I'm getting at. So you do the high-intensity interval training, and then for the rest of the day, you can be sitting in front of the TV. You can be sitting at your work desk. You can be sitting on the toilet, and you will be burning more calories than you would be on sitting down than if you hadn't have done that high-intensity interval training. So guys, get into that, give it a try, see how it goes for you, and look, go for 2 or 3 weeks without doing the high-intensity interval training, and then, and this is what you can do, spend 2 or 3 weeks doing high-intensity interval training first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, and just see how you go. See what the changes are in your body. See if you feel any better or worse, or if you look different when you're in the mirror, and just test it out. That's the big thing with these guys. Don't just listen to me. Go out and build it into what you do day to day. All right, trick number 3. Include a high-calorie day. Now, this is an interesting one. This is something that works extremely well for me. Not everyone will take to it, but I do suggest you give it a go. So a high-calorie day. Let's say you've got 6 days of the week, you're on a keto diet. You maintain a keto diet the whole way through. 6 days of the week, you're on a calorie deficit so that you can lose weight. the 7th day of the week, whatever day it is that you choose, one day a week, you might double your calories. You double your calories. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly double. My point in saying double is you're eating significantly more. You're not in a calorie deficit on that day. You're still eating keto food. You're not off the keto food. You're not eating carbs. You're on keto food, but you're eating a lot more. You're eating your fill. Maybe you're even force-feeding yourself a little bit. Why do we do this? Because it'll crank your metabolism up for a good portion of the rest of the week. If you have a single day of the week where you eat significantly more calories over and above what you've had for the last 6 days, your metabolism is going to respond by cranking up to try and burn off those calories because it's not used to having that much food. It thinks it's in a time of feast and not a time of famine, and it's going to try and get rid of that extra energy that you've got from the food. So this is beneficial because for the rest of the week, your metabolism is going to be elevated to some degree. It's going to taper off through the week as you go back to the calorie deficit on the next 6 days. But at least it started those 6 days with a higher start point before it starts to taper off, because you don't want your metabolism to just be low all the time. That's not going to help you lose weight. You want to stoke that fire and get it cranked up again, not whenever possible, but at set intervals. So maybe you do a refeed day once every week. Maybe I wouldn't do it any sooner than a week, or then you're starting to cheat on your diet. Maybe every 2 weeks. I tend to do it probably about every 2 to 3 weeks, and that works well for me. So guys, give that a try. Look, if nothing else, having a day where you can really eat your fill, you're still on keto food, but where you can really eat as much as you want without worrying about, you know, the calories or anything like that. You don't even have to count calories on that day. Count your carbs, you still want to stay in ketosis, but just for the, you know, the mind game, your headspace, it makes it so much better when you just don't have to think and you can eat what you want to eat, or eat the amount that you want to eat rather. So guys, give it a try. I highly recommend it. Works fantastically for me. I don't find that I put on any noticeable amount of fat doing it, and I'm sure that I probably do put on a little bit amount of fat on that day because I'm overeating. Of course I'm going to put on a little bit amount of fat, but it doesn't hold me back, and it makes me feel great for the day, and it makes me feel great for the week to come. So guys, give that a try. All right, number 4 is intermittent fasting. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about intermittent fasting. Most of you know what it is. For those of you who don't, intermittent fasting is where you eat the same amount of calories in a day that you normally would, but you condense it all down into a 6 or 8 hour eating window, okay? So instead of having 8 hours of sleep and then 16 hours of eating, you've got 16 hours of sleep and not eating through part of the day, and 8 hours of eating, condensed. All your eating's condensed into that 8 hour window. Maybe a bit less. Typically wouldn't make it any more than 8 hours, but you know, some people have maybe even a 4 or 6 hour window. For me, I'd start eating at about midday and finish eating at about 8 p.m. thereabouts. Now, the studies show that intermittent fasting works. Anecdotal evidence, a lot of people's reports say that intermittent fasting works. You got people singing its praises all over. For me, intermittent fasting, it works, but I don't do it. And here's why. If I have a period of fasting where it's not, sometimes I'll fast for a day or two just for something different, for the challenge. But if I do intermittent fasting consistently, I find that it has a depressive effect on my mood to the degree that I can't really function as well as I need to get my work done and have productive relationships with everybody around me. So, for that reason, I don't do intermittent fasting. That's not to say that you will get that. I don't think that's common amongst people in general. My recommendation again, try it. Go for 2 or 3 weeks without doing intermittent fasting, then go for another 2 or 3 weeks with intermittent fasting. Eat the same amount of calories in an 8 hour window between, say, midday and 8 p.m., and just see how you go. Test it. You'll never know if you never give it a go. So give it a try, guys. A lot of people getting a lot of success for it, and I recommend you give it a test drive. And point 5 is to track your carbs and your calories, okay? Because if you don't do that, you won't necessarily know what direction your body weight is going. If you eat too much because you're not tracking your food, you won't lose weight. You will gain weight, okay? You cannot just eat your fill endlessly on the keto diet. The keto diet's not magic, guys. Okay, you need to make sure you're in a calorie deficit so that you can guarantee that you lose weight. If you're not tracking your food, even just for a week or two to get a baseline idea of how much food you're putting into your body on a daily basis on average. If you're not doing that, you're not going to know. And then you can do all these tricks. You can use every trick in the book. If you're eating too much, you're not going to lose weight. That's all there is to say about it. Okay, so if at the end of the day, it's probably the most important one. Number 5 is to track your calories, track your carbs so that you know you're in ketosis, track your calories so that you know you're in a calorie deficit, and you will guarantee that you will lose weight if you stay in that calorie deficit over the long term. Okay, so guys, those are my top 5 tricks for keto diet, guaranteed success. So if you got any benefit, if you got any entertainment from this video, then please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.